Hello there. How are you guys? Welcome back to Breakfast All Day. Christy, Alonso, and Matt. So now we're going to play a little bit of catch up with a movie that came out last week, but not everybody had seen it, but we've all seen it. Well, actually, we haven't even all seen it.
No,
Alonso still hasn't seen it.
I will get to it. In fact, we're talking about it on Who Shot You next week. Right. So eventually, if you really are dying to hear what I have to say about it, catch that.
Anyway, it's called Pet Sematary. It's a remake of Pet Sematary.
Yes.
Based on the novel Pet Sematary.
Yes. So this is based on the Stephen King novel. It's the second time this movie's been made, or this story's been made into a movie. This time it stars
Jason Clarke, and Amy
Seimetz. Jason Clarke, who we've seen play Ted Kennedy after the events of
in the Chappaquiddick.
Right, in Chappaquiddick, Ted Kennedy retires to a little town in Massachusetts.
Maine.
This is Maine.
Right.
They're not even contiguous states.
Sorry.
You have to go through New Hampshire to get there.
That's
New
right.
England. It's all the same thing, right?
You can drive through them all in one day, but you got to go through New Hampshire to get
California
to Maine.
is the size of
has
like
its own
8 of those
beach and
states.
everything.
You live in California. It's the size of like 8 of those states out there. It's fine.
It's the shortest coastline in the nation in New Hampshire, by the way. It's only 17 miles. So you go along there, and then you get to Maine.
Okay.
I've been there a lot.
Anyway, so they retire to Maine. He's got 2 kids. He's a doctor. He's working on campus. Had gotten out of the rat race of working the ER shifts at the trauma center, and they need to slow down. And they live next to a very scary highway with giant trucks that speed by. The cat gets killed, and their neighbor, Judd, played by
John
Lithgow, shows them that there's a cemetery behind the cemetery where sometimes things may come back, although, as Judd later says, sometimes dead is better.
You don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery.
Right, the Ramones, smart people, right? They also told us beat on the brat with a baseball bat, which also could have come up in this movie, right? That's really Anyway, I actually was okay. I went into this movie thinking it was going to be god awful.
Why?
I don't know. I think I had heard people being, this was I came into this like a week and a half late after it had been out, and I just saw it. I think it was Monday. I actually saw this right before Little, and I was pleasantly surprised. I will say this movie is unusual in that I felt like it ends better than it starts.
And the ending is different.
And it changes some things that people who know the book and know the first movie, and we're not going to spoil what it is, but there's some significant differences. And I think that this movie capitalizes on that in that it makes that work really well. And so it brings you some surprise to it. And the beginning of the movie, it felt like, okay, this is kind of the typical, like, by the numbers. It felt very played. It felt very cliched, not just with the Pet Sematary story, but the idea of like, oh, we've moved, if not into a haunted house, next to a haunted area. And, the movie seems to be telegraphing everything you're going to see, and, the tense moments, and then there's the loud bang of the reveal and the scare and blah, blah, blah. But then after the second trip to the cemetery, I was really into it. And then it got good, because then it got real interesting. And, I felt like, as I said before, this movie does that rare thing where I feel like it finishes better than it starts. Usually movies fall apart when a movie breaks down, endings can be tough. But this one finishes really strong, and I dug it, and I had a good time in this. It was also, I do want to point out, super weird, because I went and saw it on a Monday afternoon, and I was the only person in the ArcLight Theater.
Oh.
I was the only one that bought a ticket, and the guy comes out, and he's like, and he just sees me, he's like, been to the ArcLight before? I'm like, yep. He's like, all right, you know the drill.
I know your spiel.
he's like, I'm not going to do that. He's like, just don't record the movie and enjoy yourself. I'm like, all right, cool.
That's sad.
It was kind of cool, actually.
The saddest little showing.
And the thing is, like,
that's my favorite thing in the world.
But I'm getting texts and I'm getting phone calls. I'm like, no, actually, I'm watching this movie. I'm like, so I was kind of into it.
So this is more like Pet Sematary. I think. I'm actually surprised that didn't occur to you, Matt. That's your branded joke right there. Am I right?
Which is why you should know not to tell it.
Wait a minute.
It's got some tonal balance stuff going on. Like, there is stuff that I think they meant to be scary, but it's actually funny, and vice versa. I was kind of rooting for the cat. I'm not supposed to root for the cat, am I?
No, I don't think so. But again, like after that second trip, and this is the second time today that I'll bring up Sam Raimi. Like there starts to become this almost like lurid, like fun, like here we go. And I kind of like when it tilts into that, I was more into it.
That's a tricky balance to find, and Sam Raimi does find it. And I'll mention Drag Me to Hell for a second time.
Right,
here.
Raimi managed it. Wes Craven was really great at that. There's, Del Toro can make that work. There are horror directors who can bring a wry kind of wink to the camera, that they don't overplay it, that they know you're there for a thrill, and they know they're going to show you a good time. Mm-hmm. And they'll acknowledge that, and you're okay with it, and they know not to overplay it. And I think this movie, at least if not execute it, it gets real close.
I don't know why we have two directors, but we do. Do you know why we have two directors?
Well, because one of them had died, and they buried him in the cemetery, and he came back, and they gave him a different name.
I think they're a team.
Okay, Kevin Kölsch and Dennis Widmyer both co-directed this.
It's not a Nutcracker in the Four Realms situation.
Okay. So there are individual things I like about this. Like Jeté Laurence, who plays the daughter, is really good, and she gets increasingly really creepy. I like, as time goes on, I was into her character more and more. Amy Seimetz, this is a really different kind of film for her. She's done a lot of indies. She's best known for, what's it called? Upstream Color. Yes, which she's so great in that. She's also in Wild Nights with Emily, which I hope we can get to eventually. But she's got a really intriguing kind of groundedness to her presence, which helps here significantly because this world is so bizarre and so macabre. I feel like they didn't have a hold on the material, on the tone of the material. And I was never truly scared, and I wasn't truly laughing. I was sort of in a purgatory, if you will. And I did not like the ending.
Oh, I love the ending.
I
knew you weren't going to like the ending.
Yeah,
I knew it.
I'm like, no. Really? We're going to do that? Okay.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew you weren't going to like that.
It felt gratuitously shocking to me.
Yeah, I figured.
It takes a turn.
Yeah.
It goes to a place and takes a turn that it's, again, also maybe not in line with the rest of the film, right? It goes to a very dark place in that ending.
Yeah,
that seems inconsistent with the ideal version of the tone that you say they are trying to pull off. Anyway.
Yeah, I actually kind of like the ending. But I'm a terrible person.
You are. I'm a good person. So I'm really mixed on it. I'm like, I had not read the book though. Have you read the book?
That's one of the Stephen King books I have not read.
Okay.
No.
I like John Lithgow in it.
Yeah, he's fun.
He's always good.
Had you seen the original film?
It's been a long time though. I don't remember it very well. Have you seen the original film, Matt?
Yeah, but not for. I think I only ever saw it once.
It's not good, right?
Yeah, it's not good.
Do you remember it being good or bad?
I've never seen it. I think anything 30 years pass and its champions emerge.
Well, that was, Pet Sematary is one of the reasons, one of the many reasons that for a long time the joke was like Stephen King writes these great books and almost all of the adaptations are terrible, right? I mean, people will argue about The Shining because some people think it's brilliant, and Stephen King fans sometimes hate that.
He hated it.
There's a lot of bad Stephen King adaptations, especially in the 80s and early 90s.
Misery is good.
Do go to TheWrap. Check out Bibbs ranked all of them.
Yikes.
Like 43 movies or something crazy.
I hope
that.
Sleepwalkers is close to the bottom.
You'll have to look.
What's his number one?
The Shining.
Okay.
Anyway, but I like this more than you.
Okay, what's your number?
I didn't love it, but it worked for me. 6.5.
Okay, I'm saying a 5.2. Our number's a 5.9. It's at 58% on the tomato meter. And there is a version of Pet Sematary that plays during the credits. So if you like that song or you just want to get it stuck in your head like it's been stuck in mine, you can have Pet Sematary in your head.
But it's not the Ramones, so boo! Anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing this movie to find out who I agree with, if either of you. Thanks for watching. Please like our video here on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. And if you're a podcast listener, you can, of course, subscribe to the Breakfast All Day podcast and all the places where those happen. And follow us at BeFast All Day on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, bye.